Hi you guys, it's Jerusha coming to you on a Saturday evening, November 19th, 2016. I have two things I want to share with you. Two totally different topics. It's kind of funny. I'm starting to think that this is a theme for me as far as having two different, totally different kinds of themes today. Anyway, I went to a thing today with some friends of mine called Queers and Beers. And it's where you go and get together. It's kind of like a meetup type group, I guess. I went with a friend of mine. I realized something that I think is really stupid. And you guys are probably going to think I'm stupid for just realizing this. A lot of you are. Okay, that's fine if you think so. Along with me being shocked about Donald Trump getting so many votes, and also that people did more than flinch when he said about the stuff that he was saying about women. He said just locker room talk, which was a bunch of crap because that's not an excuse for speaking that way. I feel kind of stupid because here I was thinking we were past a lot of stuff. And I was speaking with a group of people, and a small group, and one of them was African American, which is black, woman. And I finally realized that they were having this conversation and they said something about male privilege, and it finally all came together for me. And I don't even know if I can explain this to you guys, but I thought we were past this. Just like I thought that when people were educated, they, and thought of women as equal to men, that you didn't have to worry about domestic violence with those people because it was past that. You didn't have to worry about misogyny with those people. Misogyny means hating women, by the way. And like, just like I was thinking about this, well, male privilege, like this person used this word, one of the people in the group used the word male privilege. And we were also talking about gender fluid. Because this person wanted to be referred to in a gender fluid way. So they want to say they instead of like she, or he. They wanted to be called they, which I've already been schooled on from teenage stepdaughter of mine, who I really appreciate schooling me on it, even though it was hard for me to learn. I'm getting better at it. And anyway, so male privilege. I've heard that term a lot before, but I didn't really understand it. I didn't think it was an abstract term. I didn't tie it together with feelings that I've had in interactions, okay? Interactions in, like, say a store, say a classroom, and in college. And then I'm there and I'm talking to a male teacher or professor, and I'm having a conversation. I feel kind of weird or awkward or something, but I'm trying to like talk to this authority figure. And then a male comes in, other student, and things change. And there's this dynamic that changes when that other person is talking to the teacher. And I don't know if I'm explaining it very well at all. But finally tonight, I started to understand male privilege. I thought it was just me feeling awkward. See, I was so wrapped up in my own awkwardness, my own self-consciousness, about social situations and authority figures and all that stuff. I talked to you guys about social anxiety a little bit ago, maybe yesterday, on a video. And so I was all wrapped up in my own discomfort that I didn't realize that there was this thing called male privilege that was this other entity in the room. And I felt uncomfortable about it, but I didn't know it was what it was. I didn't know that it wasn't just a figment of my imagination because I couldn't really pin it to something. I couldn't give it a name. I couldn't figure out where it was coming from or what it was. But it seemed like it's like these two males and they seem to have this weird understanding with each other and they're talking to each other in a certain way and even maybe making a joke or something. And I've actually experienced this in family dynamics as well. Like when there's a boy and a man and I feel left out. And it's really weird because I feel left out all the time, different times, because I don't know about stuff that other people know about, like video games or computer stuff or whatever it is. I mean, stuff that I'm not really interested in. So when people start talking about those things, I'm just like, why do I feel so weird and left out? It's because if a bunch of females were talking at a table and there was a male there, it would just feel more, I think that the females, at least when I'm in a group of females, we are more self-conscious of if there's someone else there that doesn't seem like they feel part of the conversation. But I've had to remind people that I'm with, hey, you guys are the only ones talking about this. Let's talk about something that we can all talk about, we can all relate to. Feels like they don't really seem uncomfortable with talking about stuff that no one else, females maybe, aren't interested in. I don't know. I don't know if that's male privilege. I just finally realized this entity in the room that I feel so stupid because everybody's been talking about male privilege. A lot of people have been talking about it, and I thought that we were past it. And then this election happened, and then I got all those comments to my video about me crying about the election results. And those comments were almost all negative, almost every single one of them. And almost every single one of them was name calling me stuff that, some of it I didn't even understand. Some of it I haven't ever been called. So, I mean, this was bizarre. And, this thing called male privilege, I'm still getting my head around it, but I can't believe that I let down my guard. I really thought that we were past this. I thought that this education that these people have around me was, that they knew better, basically. I thought people knew better. I thought that the people around me that unlocking. This is my Dreadlocks. This is huge. This is the nylon thread that I ordered from Dreadlocks in the color like light auburn, something like that, for my hair to like sew in my extension thingies. But it was loud, so I had to show you what it was because it's really big. This is like, I can't remember how much it was, but there's only one size that they sell. So got that today. That was the second thing I want to share with you guys is like these extensions that I've been installing in my hair, and I really am not extending the length at all. I'm thickening my hair, like kind of filling it out so it's more volume, which I never really needed more volume in before, but now I do because my scalp is showing constantly. So I've installed like at least 4 or 5 of these, and I knotted them around my hair. So this is my actual hair. This is the Dreadlock extension that I made. And you really can't tell much the difference, but until you get really close. And so I learned a little more about it since I showed you guys last time. So I know there's a loop on there, right? Okay, so male privilege, right? Let me go back to that. It's a crap topic. I hate to talk about it, actually. It kind of makes me want to throw up. Talk about it. You know what I mean? So, I'm going to show you. So, I actually rigged up this shoestring situation here because I can untie it and take these off. This is to make my Dreadlock extensions. So, make the Dreadlock extensions, right? That's where I left off. So then there's this loop here at the top that you make the Dreadlock around the loop, around the shoestring, which then creates a loop. And you kind of like wrap the hair around, and then you dread it starting up here and dread it down. So the loop is dreaded into it. And then you take it and put it around one of your hairs. I just found this to be interesting. So then I showed you this part, right, where you put it on. Well, then you take, because there's more loop here, so you take it and you twist it once, and then you put your hair through it again. And you basically keep doing this as many times as you want to. And it's not going to be enough to, you know, I could twist it one more time and then stick this through. And if I needed to try to reach through and get it, I could use this latch hook to do it. But I'm going to leave that there for now. But you do kind of have to do a sewing thing where you put some thread through here, the top of the Dreadlock of your natural one, and you wrap it around a few times around, like a figure 8 style, like wrap it around the extension one and your own figure 8 style, and then you kind of knot it off. Okay, so I'm not really doing the complete description here of it. But I want to show you my hair because I have like, I forget how many now because I actually put 3 in between last take and this one. So it's actually somewhat difficult to see which one is it. Okay, so this one is actually an extension and this one's an extension. So you see that they're lighter in color, but then this one's an extension. Okay, so now that I pulled it out, you can see it's lighter in color. Let's see, this one's real, this one's extension, and this one's extension. So there you go. It looks way different. And the thing is, I have not washed my hair yet with them. And I need to wash my hair. And I will probably need to either take these out that I haven't sewn in, or take them out to wash my hair, or sew them in. Very brief sewing situation before I get in the shower. Because you can wash your hair for a while, like months, with these in. And it's not really interfering with very much with my dreadlocks or my roots. So, and also the other thing you need to know is your dreadlocks have to be a certain maturity before this will work very well, regarding either the top, the stuff at the top, just because the sewing part, you have to be able to grip, attach in there somewhere at the root. But it might be easier to do this filling in business with less mature dreadlocks. But the part where you're attaching for extending your dreads, like to make them longer, which I haven't started yet doing that, but I don't even know if I'm going to, because filling in the gaps were actually more important to me in the long run, I realized, than the length being longer. But there is a method that I'm going to try, but you have to extend it from here to here. I'm not sure how the loop thing works with that. You might just be able to like not loop it. You could actually cut the loop off and have extra like at the top of the extension, extra that's like not dreaded, and like take that and kind of bring it through with a latch hook or something, bring it through your dread. But your dread has to be tight enough here and mature enough that it won't just pull it out. And these are actually almost too tight and too mature. So I have been washing them for the last 2 weeks and not putting any gel or anything in them, just to see if that will get them a little looser, more loosened up. So we'll see how that goes. So I know that some people will be critical of me for doing this, because there are people that said that I'm not looking good with dreadlocks and I shouldn't have them because my hair is too thin for dreadlocks. And this person doesn't really have a photo of themselves on their channel when they made this comment, and their name sounds unusual, maybe even potentially family stalker-ish person, because they don't have anything about themselves on their channel, so I can't see like what context they're coming from when they're saying this. I have too thin of hair to have dreadlocks, and to be honest, just their opinion that they don't look good on me. So it's hard for me to know where they're coming from with that. Obviously there's different style, like different stages of dreadlocks. So really don't need to be bothered too much by what the person said, but I am in a stage where my hair stands out from my scalp, and I've never had any hair thinning or anything. In fact, I've always had too much hair, too much volume of hair, densely populated hair. But I have had very fine hair, and I do have fine hair. So I am not sure 100% if I'm going to leave these, quote, extensions in, even though they're really at the top. They're not really extending the length. I think I'd like to try it out and see, wash my hair with them. And there is a video by Dreadlocks that shows about caring for them. And you can use the same gel, like I told you before I was going to plan on using, because the light lightweightness of them is the main way I can tell when I feel through my hair. When I feel through my hair, anything other than that, like the texture, my dreadlocks feel like plastic, practically plastic hair, which isn't like, also that's kind of like something what the person said. My hair looked like it was plastic, and that was before I put any of my extensions in. So these are all my real dreadlocks. All these here. This one is not, but it looks pretty similar, maybe lighter color. But also it doesn't have any products in it, but you can use the Naughty Boy gel, which I plan to do on those. Not on my regular dreadlocks. So who knows how this will go. It's all about vanity somewhat. I don't know. But it's an experiment. I like crafting experiments, so I'm trying to think of it that way. So I want to talk more about privilege, because between takes, I was actually doing something else. I was putting my son to bed, and it takes a while now because he's transitioning from crib to a bed. And so we have not put together his toddler bed yet. And so we have his mattress on the floor, and it's a little something for him to get used to. Same crib mattress, but it's just harder to put him to bed. And last night my husband did it, and it took an hour, him being in there alone. And also you start to get sleepy yourself, which my husband said is part of the trick. The tricky part is that you end up having to convince them about, you're modeling the behavior of going to sleep, and you end up getting tired yourself. And that was a very long hour. I was waiting in our bedroom when he was in there with our son, trying to get him to go to sleep. Anyway, what's the point of that? Well, I basically was just telling you, I had a lot of time to think between takes. And I started to realize, okay, that I mentioned before, being left out. The feeling of kind of being left out, or there's something going on in this interaction with these people, these men or males around me that I am putting together might be to do with male privilege, okay? I don't like to be preachy about these things, but I know that there are a lot of people here in this country who also talk about other kinds of privilege. And I realized, hey, how can I test this as far as the feeling of it? The feeling aware that you get when there's a privilege going on that you're not involved in. Well, I feel like I can feel it better if I can feel, actually I have a unique circumstance where I'm white. Okay. So white privilege, how have I experienced that? And I don't want this to be too long of a video, so I'm having a hard time explaining this because this is really new to me, and you guys are probably going to think I'm naive too. Okay. How do I start? Well, white. I am white. I always have been white. And often, most of the people I'm interacting with in like school situations or work situations, most of the time it's white. And Portland is a very white city. There are a lot of black people that live here, but they're not mixed in terms of the neighborhoods. They're in a different neighborhood, and it's not a bad neighborhood. It's just different neighborhoods. And so we don't have a lot of opportunities to get to know people of other races. But I think that I can understand what it feels like to have white privilege. Because not being an outsider in that way, I am white. So I am an outsider when it comes to male privilege. And I'm starting to realize as I get myself together and like feel more confident about myself, what issues I'm running into are not me. And this is kind of uncomfortable for me to talk about because I'm absolutely a neophyte in this, I think, figuring this out for the first time, and I'm 40 years old. But so I'm really exposing to you that I'm humble about this. I could definitely be off. But feeling like an outsider or feeling like left out, I do think has something to do with the feeling of it. And also there's like the other feeling I think might have to do with it, sensing when these things are happening is like, the sense that something's going on that you don't feel like you're a part of. And it's really hard to put your finger on. Okay. I have, been in situations where I'm white and, maybe the other, like there are other people in the room, or someone comes into the room and they're Black. And so people change the way they start to interact because they don't know. It's almost like when you have a sense of like, oh, we're all females here, so we're more relaxed. Even though we don't know each other, we get more relaxed because there's females here. A male joins us and all of a sudden we change the way we behave because we don't have that in common. Well, the same with like a person of a different race coming in. We might try to be more conscientious, but we might end up letting them feel left out. I'm not sure. I had one experience where I was with I was dating, casually dating because I was single for a year. And this was about like maybe 6 years ago. I was dating for a year and I went on various dates, and I had a friend who, it didn't work out to be like dating, but we were friends and we hung out various times. And he had darker skin. He was partly Native American, and he was either half or 1/4, but he had a term for it called halfy or halfsy. I forget what the word was, but I had never really known anyone in a personal situation, social personal situation, get to know him really well, who is Native American. And so I was really happy to get to know and talk to him. He had grown up on a reservation, and there aren't a lot of Native American people in where I come from in Pennsylvania. But when I was leaving the East Coast, one thing I was excited about is that, because I was always drawn to Native American culture and traditions and things, it was very romantic to me. And so I moved to Arizona. I was really hoping I was going to meet a nice Native American man and fall in love and get married together. And then that didn't happen when I lived in Arizona. I didn't get to meet them, even though there was a reservation really close to the county actually was named after the reservation that I lived in. But I didn't get to meet any Native Americans there. But here in Portland, Oregon, way years after the fact, probably 15 years or more after the fact, I did. And I was getting to know him and be friends with him, very comfortable with him. So we went to a store together. It was a Fred Meyer. And I've been to lots of Fred Meyer grocery stores before, but this was in his neighborhood, and this is in North Portland. Close to his neighborhood, at least. It wasn't in his neighborhood, but it was closer to it. And he had been to this store before, I'm pretty sure. We were going through the line, getting some groceries to cook at home. Actually, he was going to cook for me, which was really sweet and nice. And we were going through the line together, in the checkout line. And it was a white woman, middle-aged, older than me. You know, I don't know, not trendy, I guess I'll say. Not trendy person, older than me, and living in this area of town where it was somewhat, it was just different from the place I lived. Like the Fred Meyer didn't have fancy stuff, and they didn't have like a big natural food section. Okay, so they, based on their demographics of the people that shop there, they will, you know, their buyers will stock the store with various different things, depending on what there's a demand for. Anyway, we went through the line, and I was with him, and I can't remember who was even paying, me or him, but it changed. Like the way, the demeanor that she had with us was really different, and it was very strange, and I didn't understand it. It was like she started to make small talk, like the cashiers do at stores. Then when you're going through the line, she started to make small talk with me, and then maybe he came along behind or whatever, and she noticed him, and I can't say for sure because I don't know what was going through her mind, but it all really changed, and I felt very strange. I felt like I was being looked at, or we were being looked at like we were sort of bad people or suspicious. She was suspicious of us, almost like how you probably get treated if someone thinks you might be shoplifting. Although I don't think that's what it was. I don't think she thought we were shoplifting. because we were being very open about our bags and like our backpacks that we were putting stuff into or whatever. In Portland, it's really common to use your own bags, bring your own bags. I just had this weird feeling she was treating us differently. Okay. Actually, this happened then. I remember this happened before with a different person who was Black, and he was from Africa, actually from Africa. He had an African accent as well. I believe Nigeria, but I'm not 100% sure which country he was from in Africa. Africa is huge, by the way. It's amazing how huge it is. It's way bigger than the United States by like many times. I've still never been to Africa. But anyway, so we were being treated differently. And I mentioned it to him, my male friend, who's Native American. And I said, did you feel something weird? Was she treating us weird or different or something? I sensed something really different from what I ever have experienced myself. And he said no, he didn't notice it. He really didn't. And I started to try to describe it to him. He did not notice it. That's the same way when I was at a Sherry's restaurant, which is kind of like the Village Inn, and it's kind of like Denny's in a way, except maybe a little bit better pies potentially at Sherry's. Anyway, we were there for breakfast. I was with a person who was from Africa, male. And the waitress was treating us like crap for no reason. She was in a bad mood, not from the very beginning, but like gradually it happened, it changed. And I was like, whoa, I felt like confrontational because she was so mean to us. And I asked him, I said, do you notice something about the way she's acting to us is kind of weird and in a bad mood, like she's irritated with us and we can't do anything right? She was a waitress, wait staff of ours. He did not. He said no, he didn't. And so that was interesting because I picked up on it. I was being treated differently. The people I was with were being treated differently, and so was I, because we were a group. We were together. And couldn't put my finger on it, but it was like this irritability. It was an irritation that on both places that changed. Just changed once I'm thinking maybe I'm really confabulating here. Once they realized that the person, and I don't think it was that it was a white woman with a Black man or a white woman with a Native American man who actually, he comes across looking Hispanic because we're used to seeing more Hispanic people than Native American people. And they do have a lot of similarities in the way that they look, unless they like certain dress a certain way. And so he is usually mistaken for Hispanic instead of Native American. So I guess what I want to say is that I have heard people talking about on TV or whatever, like talking about how they get treated and how white privilege, and if they're of a different ethnicity or different color of skin, that they are treated differently. And the fact that these two different men did not notice the difference in the way we were treated, that I did notice, distinctly different, I noticed, to me says, well, I think they're used to it and it doesn't even come to the surface of their attention, but it does for me because I'm not used to that, being treated that way. I couldn't even make sense of it because I couldn't figure out what it could be, because I was trying to give the woman the benefit of the doubt. She wasn't in a bad mood to begin with, and I saw her being in a good mood with other people. So that wasn't it. It was something about us, I'm pretty sure. Gosh, and so then people talk about white privilege, and I have been like bothered by it in the past because I did not understand it. I thought people were using it as an excuse to like be the victim, okay? And maybe they're not like other people like that are complaining about it. Maybe there are reasons that people treat them a certain way. That's what I had been thinking. I think that's not true. I don't think that's 100% true because of what I experienced. And I have now realized I have white privilege here, just being white and going around being white. gosh, this is so, everybody knows this, right? Everyone knows this, okay? There have been experiments where people like put on makeup and like get totally made up to be black for like, go around for like a month or something being black and living the life of that. And then they do like a journalism or documentary or something. And it was way different. And what I realized is, even though this happened to me very, very brief times, not day after day, what I noticed is that I was starting to feel like I wanted to avoid situations like that. And I also started to feel weird about myself. I felt like I was starting to feel like a complex about myself. And so I started to try, so lately now I've been trying to it's more in my awareness because of Donald Trump and the election and those comments that people were giving me about being a woman and saying that I'm a feminist. And I hadn't even, I don't believe, expressed feminist ideas, but I don't know. And who cares if I was? So it's just a big wake-up call. Holy crap, it's a big wake-up call for me. And you guys might laugh about it. You guys might think I'm totally naive, but this race issue and this like differences issue, like differences of religion now with like people that are Islamic in our country, and also people that look like they're from the Middle East, probably are from the Middle East, being treated differently in a way that people think it's negative. It's not like they're treated better or treated more like they have more interesting like backgrounds that people want to get to know. No, it's like people have got an axe to grind. They're acting like. Okay. So that's what I wanted to share with you about it. I'm learning, and I'm going to have to try and figure out how I can learn more about this, especially because the male privilege thing is like hitting me hard because of my personal situation here. It's hitting me hard, feeling left out. And of course, there are all kinds of different reasons to feel left out. Because people are talking about video games or whatever and not noticing that I'm not interested and that there's other people at the table that aren't interested either. They're excluding, and maybe they just don't have the social skills to notice that they're doing that, excluding. So I'm not going to say that these males and boys talking about these things together when we're around and like we're quiet because we're just like. And I do sort of want to break into it and say something, like, for instance, what I said at the beginning of this video, which is like, can we talk about something that we all have a little bit more in common about, that we can talk about and participate, because I'm getting kind of bored not participating. And it seems like it's going on, you guys. Enough is enough kind of stuff. It's kind of rude, you know, too, bordering on rude what they're doing. And just like people aren't always aware of what they're doing. And I think, especially, you know, and it's really the adults kind of responsibility, the male adult's responsibility, kind of be noticing these things. But if you have ADHD, that's one reason you might not notice it. Taking social cues is kind of hard, you know, for people with ADHD. People with ADHD have a lot of similarities, and, actually, I recently heard that there are a lot of same genotypes are shared, overlapping genotypes between people with ADHD and people with autism spectrum. So that doesn't just mean that some people that have autism spectrum disorders or neurotypes are also more likely to have ADHD. I mean, it is somewhat true. It does often co-occur together. However, there are a lot of similarities in the way a person comes across. Like I was saying before, like talking too loud in like a previous video, like a female talking louder, especially if she's getting more and more like worked up or intensive about her feelings about something, or trying to convince someone of something, or having a discussion, feels very strongly about their opinions while talking louder in like a social situation, not being aware of it. That kind of is one of the mild describing factors of people with autism spectrum. So neurotypes, different neurotypes, okay? The Asperger's and the autism spectrum is now what it's being called, and the ADHD, they are neurotypical or neurotypes that are different than what's considered to be neurotypical. These terms are always changing. It's hard to keep up with it. And I don't know if it was on a video or not that I said I thought that some of this negativity that's coming out after the Trump election and even during the Trump election, and people also been saying that they, at the meeting I was at today, the social gathering, Queers and Beers, they were talking about how they were scared more about the license that people have felt to come out with these really bad behaviors of like racism and bigotry and sexism, and just like coming out with this stuff that like people didn't do that much, especially they weren't coming out with it. I sort of hypothesized that it was a kind of like a backlash or something, like blowback of political correctness, because political correctness has positives and negatives, and people have been having a building resentment about it, talking about it in a derogatory way about political correctness, and rolling their eyes and stuff about having to be politically correct all the time, and the terms are always changing. Person of color, way back people were called colored people. Well, there are some people still today that don't know that that's really kind of, you don't want to say that. Don't want to call people from Asia or Asian countries or Pacific Islanders even, you don't want to call them Oriental, okay? Rugs are Oriental, apparently. That's not a good word to be using for people. So you have to stay kind of up to date on these terms, because we start to learn more about what these terms mean to people other than ourselves, okay? And we should, and I guess that's what I just want to say, that I think part of what I need to do, because like, what do I do? Part of what I need to do, aside from getting to know people from different cultures and stuff like that, which would be great if I could do, but I can't just like, it's really hard. So I can't just like choose a quote token black woman or black person, token Native American, token whatever person, and be friends with them. I mean, that's not the solution to the problem. And if it comes up, I will definitely be friends with people. Even Islamic people, if I have a chance. But it's not just that. I think it's that even if I do have friends that are, you know, those different groups, I still have to understand that I will not understand. I cannot possibly understand. There's no way. I just had a glimpse of it by being in a restaurant with a man from Africa. And I had a glimpse of it from going through a grocery store line with a man who's Native American, who looks Hispanic. But I'm sure, I don't know whether there's a difference in those people's minds that are like interacting with us. As far as what they are, whether it's Native American or Hispanic, I don't know that it would have mattered necessarily. But really, even though I had those brief little glimpses at what it might be like to be treated badly, which these two people didn't think that was being treated badly, by the way. They weren't up on a soapbox about being treated badly in general either, but these were really gracious people that give people the benefit of the doubt. So I can totally see how I don't get it, because I'm not getting it. I'm not having this every day, being treated every day like it. And then I really need to go easy on people who have this like rebelliousness against white male privilege. I need to stop thinking it's a joke. I need to take them seriously, okay? I know we have to get past it. We can't behave like really revved up and negative all the time and angry all the time. But if you see people being mistreated, if you see women being mistreated and invalidated, and young girls as well, we got to figure out what to do about this. We got to figure out how to deal with it, and we got to understand that maybe people's perceptions of things are right. Yeah, and stop complaining about people's perceptions of things, because we don't know. Like, I don't know because I'm white. I don't know 100% what I'm experiencing. It just seems kind of funny. So But I think it's a good conversation to have. And people have been saying that for a long time. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. And I'm only tiny bit getting it, I think, right now. So, well, my hair. My hair isn't that important. But surviving is. Surviving is important. Feeling good about yourself is important. Because then you can move on with other things like higher level thinking, like this one that I had today, this insight sort of into something. Yes, so I was saying before about political correctness and how I have been sensing, but definitely I think this is for sure in full bloom, is I think that there has been a resentment building up amongst white people, especially white males, because they're blamed for everything, even though they did not participate in slavery. Their ancestors may have, or maybe not. My ancestors were from the North, and but I don't know how much they participated in slavery. I know that they did fight in the Civil War and the Revolutionary War. But they were white, okay? So it was sort of an invisible thing until they opened their mouth, and they had these kind of accents that were Pennsylvania German accents, really strong, by the way. It's hard to understand English being spoken by these Pennsylvania Germans, especially the older ones from my grandfather's generation. So, political correctness. It's good and it's bad. And I have been so negative about it, although I've been trying to participate in it as well and educate my mom, who is of an older generation, and she doesn't understand about a lot of these things. And I do go easy on her about it. Don't want to argue all the time. So, what was I trying to say? I'm getting tired. It's late at night. About the political correctness, I have a feeling like this is kind of my hypothesis that people have been feeling like guilty for being, or being told they're should be feeling guilty for being white and male, and that they have been building up resentment about being told about the ways they behave being racist, even though they don't think it is sometimes, and politically correct terms, and why it's important to use those. And I think there's been building resentment by these people who are now bringing it out. And that's how I am sort of thinking some of this is coming out big, because it's coming out so big and so much that I think it's more than just that it's always been here in this full force. I think that people have been trying to behave better, and their behavior has now been validated as it's okay to have bad behavior because of Donald Trump and things that he did while he was running for president. And so he modeled bad behavior, he validated bad behavior, and people liked that, and they felt relieved about that, and they felt like that was speaking to them. And so I think there's that, and I think that it might die down. But the thing is, the problem was never solved. That's what I learned about the political correctness and then this happening, is because we might have not have seen this bad behavior so much, but it was there. It was definitely there. And that is what Black people, Black Lives Matter, various groups about that type of thing have been trying to get us to see. And a lot of us haven't been. A lot of us educated people who could have been really good allies if we had just been able to see it. And it's hard when you're white, when you're male, because you get the privilege, so you don't get it. And not everyone is as empathetic. We're good at taking on other people's perspectives as people I know are, like my friends. Not necessarily my relatives, but friends and me, I think, are slightly more willing to look at these kinds of things. So I think this is my approach right now. I'm not going to, for myself, I am going to start to question things that have to do with racism and people not being treated well and fairly, and people being judged because of what they look like or how they speak, instead of being like welcomed and being accepted as, oh, you're part of us, okay? You're not other. You're not the other. And that's going to be hard because there is something biological built in regarding the other, meaning we don't know if we can trust you. But that should be the case. Should be the case for everyone, not just people that look different than us, or have a different religion. There's a lot of stigma, or I guess stigma, I'm not sure, about Christianity, people that are Christian. I have friends who are Christian, and they're pretty liberal in terms of their ideas about social policy and about gay rights. I mean, they aren't happy if they have a church that they go to that is against gay people and against bisexual people. So they struggle with it, but they also struggle with not wanting to tell people, even in the gay community, for instance, that they are Christian, because they get judged for it. So I guess basically I have to know, and that's what I'm going to do, is just not think that I could possibly know or be able to judge how other people say they feel like they've been treated or are being treated, or what they are dealing with these issues. I am going to have more humbleness. I'm going to start listening to what people say. I'm going to start listening because I don't know, and I never will really know. Honestly, I would not know, and I shouldn't ever propose to try and all learn it so I can figure it out. I'm never going to. And the biological thing that's built in, well, we've got civilization and we can think about things. So I think that being aware and trying to be compassionate, but also just sort of not tolerating it in certain ways. And I'm not really good about knowing like how to not tolerate it versus, and make things worse, versus like we need to like just not tolerate it because it's not okay or acceptable. Because people might not listen to us and we can't control their bad behaviors. So it's going to be hard. I've been talking to a lot of people who are having hard conversations with their parents who voted for Donald Trump, and them feeling very, very saddened by that, and like, just like, don't you understand kind of thing, like to their parents, if they have a good enough relationship with their parents, that they can say that stuff. But you can't, it's really hard to convince people. So I guess I'm just thinking I'm going to try to take on more of an attitude of humbleness when it comes to this stuff. And not act like I could possibly understand, because I do have white skin. I do. And I can't really quite change that. So I do have privilege that I am not aware of having. And I can't possibly ever be totally aware of it, what privilege I have been benefiting from. So that's that. What I want to come to you is, I am really, prepared for people to backlash against me, even family. I mean, I'm prepared because I have been naive and stupid for a while. I've been living in a little bubble of being white. Yeah. And also my other bubble of not realizing how apparent and how dangerous white male privilege is. Male privilege, as it relates to me, because I thought I was safe. I thought I was safe. And I wasn't. And I let down my guard, which of course we should all be able to let down our guards and be trusting. So now I'm seeing it affecting me, and how it's affecting me, and how my blind spots were my insecurities about myself and how I was viewed. I didn't know it was normal. I didn't know that the weird way I felt left out was coming from something else. I thought it was coming from just me being insecure about myself and being socially awkward or whatever, instead of, or, even my past. But instead of that, it being coming from something not to do with me at all. That's my thought. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. And I mean, there's no way to learn about this thing unless you experience it on some level. And I feel like I got to somewhat experience on somewhat of a level, but that's not the end of the story. So I'm not going to tell you I'm an expert in this or that I have a voice of authority. Some things I do feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable about, you know, like last night when I told you about the ADHD stuff. Well, I do feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable about that, but with this one, no, I'm not. So I'm telling you, fully aware that I might sound wrong. I might be wrong. I might be saying wrong things. I might be saying like total faux pas. I don't know, but the humbleness is really important. I try to just focus on being humble and listening and paying attention as much as I can. That's everything. Well, I hope that I'm able to publish this, and I hate editing stuff down, but you know how it's hard for me to get to the point and get to it? This was really hard. It was really hard for me to explain to you, and I really wanted to. So those of you who get through the video, I'm glad, but I know that these videos don't often get a lot of views. Maybe I should name it something like white male privilege and how the Donald Trump campaign for president has really brought it to its surface. And now I'm starting to wonder about a lot of stuff. I don't know. Something like that. Because when I was crying for America on my, after I got the election results, I got like, I have almost 900 views right now from that. I have over 80 comments to that. So people should watch this, even if I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. All right. Love you guys, especially my viewers and people that cut me a break instead of like cutting me down. But, you know, feel free to cut me down, okay? I am getting stronger at this. Feel free to do it in the comments, not in person, because I like to be able to know when it's coming and kind of deal with it in small doses, these comments. But feel free to rip me apart. I appreciate it. I really mean that, actually, kind of. I hope I'm okay with it, but I'll deal with it. So let me know what you think.